you've got to realize that the world's a test. You can only do your best and let him do the rest. You've got your life and got your health. So quit procrastinating and push it yourself. CeeLo in due time. Let's get started.
Like that.
Welcome to the show, welcome to the show. Here to give you knowledge that you didn't know. Put you on some game, now you got a buzz. You are now listening to cannabisbooks.
Hey, what up?
What's up?
What's good, man? Cannabisbooks Nation, Cannabisbooks audience, man. We just want to say what's up, man, and let you guys know that we appreciate you rocking with us as always, and we back again.
Yes,
All
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yo, Corey, how you feeling today, bro?
Hey, I'm feeling like thank God for coffee.
Yeah.
Hey, look. You know, don't judge me because I got bags under my eyes.
Right.
You gotta have bags under your eyes to get a bag. You feel me?
Come on. It's all about the bags.
Go get it.
Right. Some bags you want, some bags you don't. Right.
Hey, exactly. But yeah, man, I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Oh, bro, I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? Up to an early start. Got a little
Yep.
caffeine in me, and I'm feeling good, man. I had some good positive conversations with some good brothers, and one of them we actually have with us today, Tarris Batiste, an ex-athlete turned pro-cannabis health enthusiast, and is the author of a really centered, honest, and balanced piece of literature titled "Don't Let It Smoke You: Creating a Non-Toxic Relationship with Cannabis." Give it up for Tarris Batiste. Let's go.
Hey.
What's
Thanks,
good,
brother.
Tarris?
Thanks for the intro, man. Thanks for the intro. That's nice.
Yes,
Thank you for
sir.
that.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that.
Man, we so excited to get on camera and have these conversations, man. You and I have already had some time to just really chop it up and get to know one another, man. You have something out there that on the consumer side, the smokers really need to have in their back pocket or on their phone, if it's Audible or however they have it real close to them, because things can get out of hand. Things can get out of hand when it comes to cannabis consumption. And one thing that Corey and I always make sure that we do is provide a well-rounded argument, right? So we all pushing for legalization. We get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times you got to make sure you're actually able to present every side of things. It's not just, man, just be as free as you want, just do what you want. Nah, because even though we know cannabis is great and everything, we are responsible adults who say, hey, too much of anything, can ruin something, right? You can have too much water. You know what I mean? So let's just be honest about it, bro. But man, we just wanted to have you on, man, and let you say it for yourself and speak to the Cannabisbooks audience and everybody on YouTube, fan base, Facebook, Instagram, and the world, man. So welcome.
For sure. No. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for saying my name right, Tarris Batiste. And Corey, thanks for actually reading the book. You when you mentioned that made my day. Thanks for reading the book and actually getting through it and understanding it, and let me jump on here and talk about it. So yeah, happy to do that.
Definitely, man. The gentleman that read the book did a great job. I'm an Audible guy, Audible the app. So like I listen to audiobooks constantly. And one big thing about audiobooks is the person reading the book. If you are monotone, no passion, no energy. Look, I had a 2.5 hour drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was driving at 4 a.m. So let's put that into perspective. So if I'm driving at 4 a.m., if a book is out of monotone, I'm passing out. Like I gotta turn it off. So the gentleman that read the book did a great job, helped me thoroughly understand the contents that you were portraying to the world.
For sure.
And it's definitely I appreciate it because though it's focused on cannabis, it can help anybody out there in life that is experiencing some type of problem, whether it's overconsumption of whatever, it could be food, whatever the issue that you're having,
Exactly.
you read this book. He walks you through step by step how he tackles it. How one, then to go back into the cannabis piece, how we advertise and market cannabis to the world, right? To, let's just say, the US as a whole, right? And as the market is going towards legalization, you know, on the business side, you know, the cannabruhz, we talk about, you know, social equity. We talk about the impact that it has on the businesses. But on the consumer side, when cannabis is readily available to everyone that's 21 and above, you know, over consumption of a product that's available and legal at some point will be a problem, and many people will experience that. Not only, you know, the younger generations.
I'm still here. Can y'all still hear me?
Okay. Yep.
Sorry, this sun just started to come out, so I had to maneuver a little bit.
Yeah, it's shining on you though, bro.
I know,
it's shining
man.
on
I'm like, it wasn't like that at first, you know.
That's a good. No, it's cool, man. Let it shine. You know what I'm saying?
Let it shine.
Yeah,
All
let
right,
it shine.
right here. That's cool.
There you go.
Good right there. Okay. I'm listening though, Corey. You was right on. You was right on what you were saying.
Yeah. You know, it's just Drew,
No, please.
Okay,
Let's go.
And look, and the powerful thing, the most powerful thing that I got from this book is how it started when you were in 7th grade. And that's all too true in today's culture, especially in the hip hop. You know, hip hop was pushing smoking heavy, right?
Everything, yep.
Right.
And some of the brands that we speak about on other episodes.
Right.
But at the same time, if your mind isn't developed yet, if you haven't gotten to a certain point in maturity in your life, and you're consuming a product that alters your experience of life, your perception of life, at a young age, it's going to be more detrimental at that point, because now you don't have the context to reference off of, and so you think that what you're seeing at that point in time in life is reality, or it's helping you escape to another realm. Or, you know, hey, that's how I want to view my life from here on out, which ultimately is smoking you.
Bars.
Right.
Bars.
Exactly. You know, the one thing I wish I would have did over from the book, I wish I would have said, don't let it control, because everybody don't smoke. People use in multiple different ways. You know, tinctures, topicals, etc. Right? I wish I would have said, don't let it control you instead of smoke you. And then that would speak to whether it's porn, whether it's sex, whether it's food, anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that would align with what you were saying. So I'm glad you mentioned that for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Tarris, you always had like a positive attitude. You know what I'm saying? You've always had a positive attitude. I know you wondering, like, how do I know you've always had a positive attitude?
Yeah.
Right? Because we just met, but you know, I just wanted to, you know, get into something really quick.
The Cartersville Georgia native credits his success to the longevity of his hard work, even when it isn't accounted for.
Just trying to do a little extra after practice, the things that I didn't do well the week before, and just continue doing that, man, and continue to wake up in the morning with a positive attitude.
What I learned is that, hey, man, it didn't just start with this book, man. You know, it didn't just start with this book. Tell us a little bit about how somebody who's a straight up baller Oh, and I saw the stats too. This man was balling, right? Like straight up balling on the
I can't
field.
take that away. Definitely was balling.
Yeah, you was balling, bro. We're gonna give you your flowers. You were definitely balling. Just tell us a little bit about how somebody that's balling on the field, fast forward through life to become an entrepreneur and an author, of something that's gonna help more than just, the 50-man roster.
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. So I'll tackle it these two ways. I'll tackle it using football terms, but I'll do it in these two ways. So first I would say, first the attributes that sports put into you, not just football, anything, kind of pertains to life. I heard a guy named Bill Curry say, life is football just in 100 yards, right? So much stuff you deal with on that field pertains to life. So that's one thing. And then I would say second thing is, which aligned for me perfectly, is just the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is that although all that time I was playing sports, I was smoking weed too. So it was just an honest message. I was just dealing with that as I kind of went forward. And after I just kind of transitioned some of those attributes and my message at the same time. And that's what made it kind of bridge for me, for sure, into the book and the entrepreneurial. Yeah, for sure.
I like that. I like that, man.
Hey, Tarris, I have a question for you, right? It's a flyby question, real quick.
Okay.
Do you think cannabis is a performance-enhancing drug?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Didn't expect that answer. Now I definitely got to hear this. Okay. Let's talk about it.
Yes. I wouldn't put it as FDA performance enhancing.
Okay.
But psychologically performance enhancing. I used to I smoke weed all the time for adverse behavior when I was an athlete. I even went through rehab when I was an athlete. A lot of people don't know that. At Georgia State, I kept getting in trouble for weed. I kept getting caught. I had to go through rehab. Coach sent me there. Still didn't get over it, right? I still had that problem. But to take it back, Corey, adverse behavior. So y'all familiar with football, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just use this illustration. Anytime a receiver run a slant and he hurt his knee, when he goes back to run that slant, his mind is like, shit, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yep.
Slant. And that last time, adverse behavior. So when you use cannabis, that suppresses that. So next time he goes to run that slant, he's like, okay, I'm a little bit more confident now. Yep. On the other side of adverse behavior, you can't just keep doing that for every little thing. Oh, my mom made me mad. Adverse behavior. Oh, me and my brother ain't seen eye to eye. Let me go use for adverse behavior. Me and my girl arguing. Let me go use. So
right.
If that makes sense to you, that's why I say it is a performance enhancer psychologically, but I wouldn't put it down on paper as FDA. Do you follow me around that? I know that was a long-winded answer, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And just to talk a little bit more about that, and not only cannabis can do that though, right? They can give you other types of opioids, any other types of pills to make you not feel that.
Yep.
So that when you do run that route, you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. For sure. Exactly. Yeah, but nobody wants to lean on opioids. Nobody can control. You can't control opioids like you can control cannabis. You can't control that. Think about when you go in a dispensary. They're asking you, hey, what do you want? Flower, tincture, candy? You control that whole experience, you as the person. And opioids, you don't. So think about the hospital when you're hurting and you're going to the hospital. Think about being in that weight room and the experience in that weight room. The frowny faces, it's quiet, it's probably cold. You're waiting to get called up by a number, etc. Compared to a dispensary or a clinical, right? When you walk into a dispensary, you see people walking out right when somebody has to greet you right when you walk in. It's a complete different setup. So that mainstream medicine, opioids, that mainstream medicine, that's about to be washed out. And to go back to what you're asking, Corey, that's about to be washed out. And I think cannabis is here to stay and here to stay in the right place. So yeah.
So that's a really dope way of getting into, you know, like the process of things when it comes to health. And my first question is, do you feel like it's a difference at how maybe, you know, pharmaceutical companies or even, you know, medical facilities handle minorities versus how they're handled potentially in a dispensary or a clinic for cannabis?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'll make sure I'm very honest around this question. So I think revenue is one thing, right? You want to make it available to everyone,
right?
All type of classes. That's one thing. I don't think that it's available to all type of classes right now.
Okay.
Especially certain high-end medicine, you could say.
Right.
On the other side, I do think it's on you individually to set yourself up to kind of make it work for you. So I kind of take my eyes off of pharmaceuticals, right, big pharma, and put it more on the individual to kind of figure it out. And that's just kind of my approach around it.
Okay.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about your book, because this transitions well into where we were going to go into in social health. So in your book, you talk about the history of cannabis, right? From its conception into the U.S. To where it is now, right? And what a lot of people don't know is that the THC percentage, or the amount of THC that's in there, or the strength of THC, back in the day was, you know, a fraction of what it is today, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, when it comes to revenue, when it comes to dispensaries, right, that's a selling point, right? We have gas, we have, you know, they talk about terpenes, of course, right? For those that do care, but
the terps,
to the younger audience, right? You know, similar to alcohol, right? It's what gets me lit fastest, right? What's the highest alcohol percentage that I can get, right? So on the cannabis side, so what's the strongest weed that I can get, you know, for the cheapest amount to just turn up and be gone, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the, or ultimately, I just wanted to paint that picture for our audience, right? That similar to, it's like THC inflation. That's what I'll call it. THC inflation.
Okay, I like that. That's a new one for me.
Hey,
that was on the spot, huh?
Yeah, on the spot.
My man Corey creates everything. Corey the creator.
Corey the creator.
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
When you look at nice, you know, upper middle class areas, how many liquor stores do you typically see?
Maybe one.
And it's not even a liquor store. It's like Specs.
Grocery store.
It's like Total Wine and More, right? It's a bougie version.
Right.
That's true.
Of liquor, right? But then you go into areas, DACs, or areas where more minorities are, Black and Hispanic, right?
Yep.
And that thing don't have a fancy name. I think you said Liquor Mart.
Yep.
Liquor store, right? And they're available in a higher concentration in that community, right? And so you look at cannabis on the flip side. And so how the legislation has it for different states, local areas, and so on and so forth, right? They have it where cannabis dispensaries and so on and so forth are more in commercial areas, or not commercial, but commercial areas, construction areas, and you know, they say it can only be so close to a school or so close to a church, right? When you look at the amount of dispensaries that are located, you know, and this isn't in all areas, but in general, in a concentrated area, you see a lot of liquor stores there, but then you may see a lot of dispensaries in the low income area. And so if you see a lot of dispensaries in a low income area, that increases the availability of that product. You have to be 21 and up to buy it, to purchase it, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't get it at a young age from somebody else.
For sure.
Right?
Of course.
Right. So it's the social impact on the community, the younger community consuming the THC with higher percentages, with the dispensaries and higher concentration in the area is that impact right there.
Right.
Like it's I wanted to paint that picture because for us as the cannabruhz, we talk cannabis business and we promote it, right? And we believe that 100%. Cannabis is quote unquote the green rush, right? But at the same time, we have to be cognizant of the impact that it can have on communities if it's not properly regulated, and the impact that it can have on the low-income community.
Right, and not regulated by somebody who's seen something or somebody with a title, but regulated by people who've been there before.
Right.
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 I think about, Corey made me think about something. When gambling first came out in Vegas, it was cool for a year. I don't remember the year, so I'm not going to say the year. I don't want to lie. But it was cool for a year. Then after that year, they came up with a 1-800, if you got a gambling problem, call this line.
Right.
It's going to be the same thing for cannabis.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing. You know what I mean? Once it's recreationally all over the world, it's going to be the same exact thing. I think about this. I seen Mike Bibby. Y'all remember Mike Bibby, the basketball guy?
Oh, for sure.
Sir.
Yeah.
Him and his brother just dropped a bubblegum line called Bibbylicious. THC level high as hell. I like it, but I'm like, Mike Bibby, you ain't smoke weed. You not whiz. You ain't smoke weed, right? Okay, whatever. You think about Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim just dropped her line. Lil' Kim? Rip weed? That don't even sound right? I'm watching all these people make their entrepreneur efforts around cannabis, and I'm like, yo, everything like you just said, Corey, THC 34%, THC 34% and higher, and I'm like,
yeah, right.
This is cool, but we're gonna have to come to a point where we got to kind of manage it for the other ones, and that's where Don't Let It Smoke You comes in, and what you're talking about for sure.
And Corey and I actually, back on episode 3 of the cannabruhz, we call it the Ending the War on Drugs. We touched on the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act as a step towards righting the wrongs of the war on drugs, right? So this act, Tarris, speaks on both diversity and social health pertaining to cannabis in the cannabis industry, and like solutions for the crisis, because everybody is concerned on so many levels of what it would do to the community if they just, stop hating. The FDA, who is responsible for the regulation of manufacturing, marketing, and distribution of tobacco products, also have under law the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act that prohibits marketing of supplements that contain cannabis, right? And that's a funny thing, because it's, on one hand, we say, hey, treat it like it should be treated like y'all treated tobacco. It seems like it's on that same kind of like a parallel timeline of where, what they did with how they treated tobacco. And I know we mentioned how, alcohol was treated as well, but how they treated tobacco, they made sure there was an age limit. There was a lot of, the big thing was with the labeling, what I'm saying? The labeling was very important. And right now it's at that point where they're just saying we prohibit marketing substances that contain cannabis. So a lot of times when you see different cannabis products out on the market, they'll tell you, hey, this is not FDA approved, right? And that's just to make sure that, they're protected. The FDA is not involved with this for that protection against like fraudulent health claims and whatnot.
Now, Tarris, how available would you say, and let's talk about 7th grade Tarris, and then then we'll talk about 7th graders now. How available would you say cannabis was to you in 7th grade?
Not available at all. I mean, you still had to go to sketchy spots to get it.
Right.
You know, it wasn't candy. It wasn't CBD gummies. And it damn sure wasn't marketed, and we didn't have social media like TikTok and everything where we can see it nonstop.
Right.
So I didn't have that access to it, and I also had two great parents,
right,
mother and a father.
Shout out to
I
your
wasn't
parents.
able to go out. Shout out to my parents. I want to be honest about that, but I wasn't able to go out and just do that on my own. You know, I kind of had to sneak it, so it was hard for me.
Okay. Yeah, it was regulated at home, basically.
You know it.
Right. Yeah, because you either
for sure.
and no, not, but you know, there's parents that's like, you know, you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, let's teach, you know, let's talk about cannabis, let's do cannabis and that, and then you have the other side of things where it's just like it is in the media, stay away from it.
Right.
That you know, in the Black community, it'd be like, that's grown folk stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, so
exactly.
That's grown. What you do, hey, whatever. Once you're in college, or what you do on at that point after 18 or after graduation or whatever, that's you, right? But before then, if we could regulate this at home, that's where the regulation starts. It's at home, you know.
And
exactly.
In your book, you talk about the challenges of trying to keep it where your parents didn't know that you were smoking.
Man, that's a story, a common story.
I think we all been through that, right? I think everybody who especially when you smoke, whether it's you know, roll it up in some type of tobacco, swisher, whatever, or if you smoking vape. I think vape, you can hide it a little bit. It's more discreet now, which is cool. And also you can, like, it's oral ways you can do now.
Right,
but to go back to 7th grade, man, when you smoking, rolling it up, and I love the experience of rolling up. It's therapeutic for me, to be honest with you. But man, my hands would smell like it. You know, I remember me and my friends, we used to hotbox, and then I would just walk into the house right after, just dumb as hell, right? My mom used to be like, didn't even know, right? So man, I had to learn how to wash those hands, switch the shirt, you know, do all the little things. The eye drops, throw them in. Yeah, I had to learn that for sure.
Yeah. Versus now, the kids, you know, in 7th grade, man, you might have a 7th grade plug, man. Like I'm just being real, man. You might have. I wouldn't knock it. I mean, I wouldn't deny that that's true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the idea that you really could. And it's funny to Corey's point. In 7th grade, I definitely knew people that smoked. You know, 7th, 8th grade, like around that time. Now, the crazy, like you said, it was the accessibility, right? I wasn't able to get to it. You know, it one, not only did, like, I didn't really have an interest in smoking in the 7th grade, you know what I mean? But, you know, for people that did, it wasn't like it was just out there for everybody to try, right? Like, so if you wanted to get it, you had to, you know, go through, you know, leaps and bounds, and you had to jump through hoops and all that kind of stuff, do backflips to try to get to it. And it probably wasn't even that great. So
that good. Yeah, it was mid for sure.
Sure. You know it.
And Corey, you know, and you know, it was kind of like back then. It was still kind of scary a little bit for me. You know, you get the weed, still kind of scary. I think nowadays kids are celebrating it. Like, yo, I got this new blah blah blah.
Right.
I got this new blah blah blah. So it's different in 7th grade now for sure.
Yeah, they ain't scared. I guess it was like, that's when it was all fun and everything like that. My question though is, when did you become aware that it was more than just a high? Like, when did you become aware that it could be used functionally and not just to have a good time?
In college, I became aware. As an athlete, I started to realize I played safety. All we did was tackle people all day. I still think about that all the time. I started to realize after games, right, I would bring a little brownie, eating it after games, how I would relax everything. I didn't really know, but I started to feel it, but I still couldn't put it into words, right? And I still couldn't find the amount that was for me. I was still smoking all the time, mornings, nights. I started to realize I had a problem in college before rehab. I remember going to Thanksgiving and my mom was like, damn, son, you got to roll up before you eat? And I'm like, yeah, man, I got to roll up before I eat. Or I remember going on certain dates. Chicks would be like, yo, why can't we just go on a date? You got to roll up and get right. Like, it takes all that time. And I kind of felt like I was a slave to it, man. Like I just depended on it a little bit. I don't like to say addicted. I don't like to say habit. I like to say dependent. And that's what I felt.
Right.
So that was around college, early college. Towards the end, I got drafted by the Falcons. And this is a very honest story. I got drafted by the Falcons. Right after I got drafted, I went to the you know, to mini camp, etc. Y'all know how after teams, after games, after practice, you go out and do extra work.
Right.
Especially if you're a rookie, right?
Right.
Y'all know that, right?
Yeah.
Right after practice, all the rookies will go get up together, do DB drills, right? All that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was going to roll up. I was going to roll up every single day. And I didn't realize it. Like, damn. After 2 weeks, I'm like, damn, I'm letting it smoke me. And that's when I realized, and this was my dream. This was football.
That's it.
My one shot.
Right.
And that's when I realized, yo, I remember when I got released, I realized like, yo, I got to get this down packed because it's not an asset for me right now. It's smoking the hell out of me. It's taking over my dreams. It's taking over who I want to be. It's not fulfilling me. So, and that was the time where I found it. And I still took a little bit to kind of find the you know, my sweet spot for it.
Yeah.
So probably about 2019 is when I found my sweet spot for it, to be honest. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And shout out to the Falcons, by the way.
Shout out to the Falcons.
You know what's funny, Corey? Offline, when Tarris and I first met, I had, on a normal day, you might catch me in a Falcons fitted or something like that, and I had a Falcons fitted on. He was like, "Oh, you like the Falcons?" Funny thing is, he never said that part. Like, he never mentioned, I got drafted to the Falcons. You know, he just was like, "Oh, you like the Falcons?" I was like, "Yeah, from Georgia." You know, and we had a Georgia conversation. So shout out to them Dirty Birds, man.
Yeah, you know it. Thanks for the opportunity too.
Yeah, there you go. So look. If we always try to make sure that we put our audience on game. Tarris, we need your help with this one. Put our audience on game. What would you tell any young or uninformed person relating to finding better balance with cannabis?
I would say don't listen to nobody. Don't listen to nothing that's out there. Really find yourself, meaning find your own endocannabinoid system. We all have them. So that's one. Find what yours is. And then second, I would say go low and go slow, meaning the amount of THC, the amount that you smoke, the dose that you use. Start low and go slow. That's what I would say for sure. But do what you do. Just don't let it control you for sure.
Don't let it smoke you. Don't let it control you. I love it.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's powerful. That's definitely a powerful statement right there that we'll definitely have to unpack. But my question to you, and it's a little bit back in the sports realm, or actually it is back in the sports realm, is do you think that, based off your experience with cannabis, do you think that cannabis should be allowed in professional sports?
Nope. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. We gonna unpack that and much more on part 2 of our sit down with Tarris Batiste. Until then, make sure y'all go to the link in the description below to go copy your copy of Don't Let It Smoke You, right? And get connected with Tarris Batiste on so many different platforms. We were having real conversations here that the consumers want to know and businesses should be on the lookout for, so you understand how your products affect the community and social health. We out.
Bye.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. Here to give you knowledge that you didn't know. Put you on some game, now you got a buzz. You are now listening to cannabisbooks.